Hello and welcome to Crop Roadshow. In this series, you'll discuss the history of three or more crop cultivars, starting with the history of the crop itself. Then I'll rank them for agronomic traits, which will be out of 3, disease resistance traits, which will be ranked out of 2, 1 for each major disease, and 2 points for historical breeding use and future breeding use. Let's begin. Now on to our first cultivar, white Pearmain, aka the white winter Pearmain. The white Pearmain is probably a descendant of the Pearmain style apples, and originally is one of the many seedlings that were either brought over from Europe or sprang up during the colonization of the North America region. What is known that cuttings of 2 varieties, one including the white Pearmain, were sent to a nursery in what is now known as Indiana during the late 1700s or early 1800s, and after being grafted, both were determined to be Pearmains, one red and the other pale, naming these 2 cultivars red and white Pearmain respectively. The red Pearmain was later revealed to be an old variety of apple called Esopus Spitzenberg, while the white Pearmain matched a number of different cultivars of apple. There was no specific match. As a result, the white Pearmain name stuck. Its actual origins remain unknown, however. Some believe that it may be one of the old world Pearmains, probably dating back to the year 1200, that was brought to North America while fading into obscurity within the native European region, or a descendant of the old world Pippins brought over as seeds in the early 1700s. Now on to the traits. In terms of disease resistance, I'm unable to find any information regarding this topic. I searched quite a bit but could not find anything, so it'll be a big old question mark in terms of disease resistance. However, none of the descendants of white Pearmain seem to be particularly disease resistant. As such, I still have to mark it out as 7. In terms of historical breeding, it was used to breed the Japanese cultivar Indo. Indo is an open pollinated cultivar of white Pearmain. Genetic analysis reveals that the other parent is in fact Golden Delicious. Again, based on the work by Dr. Ordridge, which I've referenced in previous videos in the series. Indo has been used to breed a heavy amount of different varieties of apple, including 2 very popular ones, Shizuka and Mutsu, both of which are descendants of both Indo and Golden Delicious. So from a breeding standpoint, it's been used heavily, both directly and indirectly. So I give historical breeding traits a 2 out of 2 for agronomic traits. The tree itself is very vigorous, and the fruit lasts 4 months, and there's little information regarding the rest of it. As such, I have to give this apple a 3 out of 3 for agronomic traits, at least tentatively, for a total of 5 out of 7. The next cultivar on our list would be Granny Smith. Granny Smith is a common apple that much of us know about. An older lady named Maria Ann Smith in Australia planted some apple seeds in her 24-acre farm. The seeds came from several apples identified by the cultivar French crab, a crab apple obtained from the nurseryman Thomas Lawless of Tasmania. One seedling sprouted and was grown until it bore fruit. Due to its popularity as a baking apple, it became used extensively in baking, where it gained popularity. As a result, the family began marketing the apple, which was known as Smith's seedling. And about 20 years after she passed away, it was renamed Granny Smith, becoming the most important apple in Australia for quite some time, although it only became popular in the rest of the world by the mid-1900s. That concludes our history segment. Now onto the traits. In terms of disease resistance, it has none. It's susceptible to fire blight scab, but does resist rust. Since rust is not a big problem within Canada, I have to give it a 0 out of 2 for disease resistance. For historical breeding, it was used by various researchers to breed Lady Williams, a crossbreed between Granny Smith and the apple called Jonathan, although others speculate it may have been another cultivar called Rokewood. This was then used to breed Cribbs Pink, which is a crossbreed between Golden Delicious and Lady Williams. This apple is quite popular amongst different farmers and homesteaders. As such, for historical breeding, I would say I would give it a 2 out of 2. In terms of agronomic traits, it requires a longer growing season than what is found in most parts of Ontario or Canada, but it is very good for storage, and it crops heavily on a regular basis. So for agronomic traits, I give it a solid 2 out of 3, for a total of 4 out of 7. Now on to our last cultivar, King of the Pippins. The King of the Pippins has a very strange history. It was originally known as Golden Pearmain. It was said to originate in multiple spots. Some say it came from England in 1250. Others say it originated in 1510 in France. It was later called Kroon Rennet in Holland during the late 1700s. In Germany, and in the Normandy region of France, it became known as Reine de Renets. It was called Golden Winter Pearmain within England, later on English Golden Pearmain, and finally Queen of the Pippins. Later on, King of the Pippins showed up, some saying it's a sport of Golden Winter Pearmain, or seedling of Golden Winter Pearmain, with still others saying it's an unrelated cultivar. Given that there's derivations in terms of disease between Reine de Renets and King of the Pippins, it remains uncertain. But that's a convoluted history of King of the Pippins. Now on to traits. The apple we do call King of the Pippins is listed as resistant to scab and fire blight, so I give it a 2 out of 2 for disease resistance. Fire blight resistance is found in the Cornell lab, where listed as moderately resistant, and Royal Horticultural Society lists it as one of the scab-resistant apples. Based on the genetic studies by Dr. Ordridge again, it's been confirmed that at least 2 cultivars, Rambur Pepero and Zagbu Rennet, have been bred from King of the Pippins. But there's also speculation regarding whether or not the red-fleshed apple Pink Princess is. Some saying it's a cross between Pink Pearl and King of the Pippins, with others saying it's a cross between a crab apple and Pink Pearl. Due to that level of speculation, I have to give it a 1 out of 2, tentatively. In future days, it may change into a 2 out of 2. In terms of agronomic traits, it seems to store well and grow quite well as well, although the blossom is more sensitive to late frost. But in most conditions, it is very good to grow, so I'll give it a 3 out of 3, for a total of 6 out of 7. And that covers everything. Thank you for watching.